Why is community so important? While streaming is the #1 way to reach the masses, community building is a surefire way to fund the journey. The term direct to consumer is the future for artists. We are moving into a space where people will buy art directly from the artist. With that knowledge, the question becomes, how do I sell directly to the fans? And the answer to that is through community. Building a community of faithful fans/consumers who believe in the same thing you believe in. A shared vision that's mutually beneficial. This course is going to give you a roadmap of how to build community. So please pay attention, take notes, and then take action. So as we go through these courses, first and foremost, you're going to have to forgive my handwriting. Handwriting is not my strong suit. My mind is my strong suit. So the first term you need to understand if you are going to build a community, or even the reason why you need to build a community, is direct to consumer. What does that mean? Direct to consumer means cutting out the middleman. There is no middleman when you go direct to consumer. For example, if you guys remember, maybe some of you are young, maybe some of you will remember this, but you've at least heard of the time when artists were independent and they would press up their CDs because they couldn't get into the CD stores like the FYE or Target. They would press up their CDs, they would put them in a trunk, and they would go to the club or they would go to the restaurants or the hair salons, pop their trunk, and they would sell their CD direct to the consumer. They would sell it direct to the people. That's what direct to consumer means. That means the music comes off of your hard drive and people buy it directly from you. They get it directly from you. That's what direct to consumer is. Right now we're in the streaming era. So what happens now? I make my music, I go to TuneCore, DistroKid, I upload my music. My music goes on Spotify, and then the consumer goes to Spotify, pays Spotify to listen to my music. That is what you would call a middleman. Apple Music, DSPs, these are middlemen. I have to deliver my music to them. The consumer pays them to listen to my music. But that's what we're going to be cutting out with direct to consumer. It's not like we're not going to need Spotify or Apple anymore. I'm not saying we won't need them. What I'm saying is we'll be able to sell directly to our fans. Instead of getting paid 0.004 cent per stream, we're now getting paid whatever we choose to charge for our art. That's why we're going direct to consumers. Now, I know a lot of you are going to ask, okay, if we go to direct to consumer, do we now need the labels anymore? And I'm not saying this is going to make labels obsolete. It's not what I'm saying at all, because labels at the end of the day, they're going to have funds to be able to put behind your career, and they're also going to have marketing strategies. You can make the best music, but if you're not marketing it properly, nobody will ever hear it. So I'm not saying direct consumer is cutting out labels, but it can. If you're a great marketer, if you know how to build a community and you can fund your art yourself via your community, then yeah, you can cut out the label. So the question that many people ask when I tell them, hey, are you ready to go direct to consumer? They ask, are the fans ready to be consumers? Here's the answer to that question. Right now, here we are, we're in the middle of a writer's strike. We're in the middle of an actor's strike. Are you familiar with this? The writers and the actors are on strike. So that means most of our favorite TV shows aren't coming back anytime soon. But us as consumers, are we standing with them or not? Are we not out there picketing for the actors and for the writers? We're standing with them because we believe in our actors, we believe in our writers. So in music, the story is out there. The story is well out there. We're getting paid 0.004 per stream. And consumers hate that. The consumers do not like that for us. They think it's unfair the same way that we think it's unfair. That's why you have artists like LaRussell. LaRussell came out and sold $150,000 worth of albums direct to the consumer. So that should answer your question. Are the fans ready to be consumers? Of course they are. You just have to know how to be able to reach them. You have to be able to reach them to sell $150,000 worth of albums. And that's what this course is going to teach you. This course is going to teach you all about community. Because in order to sell direct to consumer, you have to build a community. And that is why we are here today. Why is community so important? Why do we need to go direct to consumer? Right now, when you put out your music and it gets streamed, not only do you get paid such a low pay rate from it, how long do you have to wait to get paid? You have to wait about 90 days before that piece of change from the streaming companies comes in. So if you stream 1 million streams, you're going to wait about 3 months before you finally see that $4,000. Now, when LaRussell put out his album and sold $150,000 worth of albums, do you know when he got that money? He got that money the same day. He cut out the middleman and he didn't have to wait 90 days for somebody to pay him. When the consumer bought it, he got it. And that is why we're about to build community. The first benefit to building community is escaping the algorithm. Right now, when you guys post on social media, you know what happens? You may have 10,000 followers. That piece of content is probably going to be shown to about 500 of them. About 5% of the people that follow you will see that content. If you post on Discord, you may have 10,000 people in there, but how many of them have their notifications on? So you have a better chance, yes, of reaching them. You may reach 5,000 instead of 500. But we're going to escape the algorithm by building a database. Community is all about database. What does that mean? We're talking about email lists, text lists. You want direct access to that consumer. So when we're talking about community, we're talking about building a database. We want to collect emails and we want to collect phone numbers. You can do this online and in person. When you're doing your shows in person, you can get a notepad and make sure you take down all the emails. When you're online, you can set up a link like this group link that you're in now, and you can gather emails, gather text messages. This means what? We get to escape the algorithm, because now when I send out a notification, let's say I send out a text blast, I bet that 90+% of people are going to open that text message, as opposed to me putting the content on Instagram and only, let's say, 5% of people see that. And so the best benefit you have of building a database is you are escaping the algorithm. I know people all the time right now that complain about making content. The reason you have to make content so consistently is because of the algorithm of Instagram, the algorithm of Facebook, the algorithm of TikTok. If you're not feeding those platforms consistently, guess what? Your following don't get to see your posts. But now, because I have a database, whether I send them a piece of content every day, once a week, or once a month, the likelihood of them receiving it and opening it shoots up tremendously. That is why we're building community. Community is a database. It's a database of emails and text messages, and then you can build around that database. So the next question I get when we start talking about community and why it's so important is most people when they're marketing their product or their music or their brand, when they're building a fan base or they're trying to sell something, what they're looking for is their target audience. But guess what? In a community, the community members become your target audience. When you put it out there that you're building a community and people start to join, people start to become a part of your community, you now have your target audience at your fingertips. You can look at your community members and say, okay, I'm attracting these type of people. Let's say it's college students, because that's always the easy one, right? There are so many college students inside of my community. Now I know who to target. That's obviously who is attracted to me in my community. They believe in what I believe in. So now I can go out there and target college students. It's so much easier to figure out a target audience when you build a community, because the people that join are your target. So your target audience becomes your community. Your job now is to multiply the people that are in your community. You look at them, what type of people are these? Who are these people, and how can I find more of them? So the target audience mystery disappears when you build a community. Now I know a lot of you have ran ads before, or you've watched ad tutorials trying to figure out how you can reach more people. Well, we're going to talk about warm audience, because when you build a community, you automatically get a warm audience. So if you've ever ran what we call retargeting ads, what that is when people like your post, watch your post, interact with your page in any type of way, the ads will retarget them, because these people know who you are. They've come across you. It's not a cold call. It's not a cold ad, because a cold ad, I've never seen this person before. But a warm ad, they're targeting me because I've interacted with that page. Now, when you build a community, everybody inside your community is warm audience. Why is warm audience so much better than cold audience? Well, because I know who you are and I'm familiar with you, the likelihood of me purchasing from you goes through the roof. If I see a person that I've never heard of and they try to sell me a course, I don't know who this person is. I'm not buying that course. But if I see somebody who I interacted with their page, I've engaged with them, I've I've looked at their content, I believe them and I trust them, the likelihood of me buying their course shoots through the roof. Well, everybody in my community is that. They're those people that have engaged with me. They trust me. They follow me. They believe in what I believe in. So now when it's time to sell my music, now when it's time to sell my merch, I can trust that my whole community is warm audience. So my likelihood of selling whatever I'm trying to sell goes through the roof. And that is why we build community. We build community to go direct to consumer. We escape the algorithm by building this community. Our target audience becomes the people in our community. And then it's also a warm audience, which means my likelihood of selling whatever I'm selling goes through the roof. This is a new world we're living in, where it's no longer about being a superstar or having millions of followers. The difference between having 10,000 followers and 10,000 community members is a world apart. If I have 10,000 followers and I post that I'm selling my merch, first of all, 500 people are going to see it. Maybe less because it's actually a direct ad where I'm telling people I'm trying to sell merch. So let's say 150 people see it. But these are all people who have not particularly bought into me. Just because I follow you doesn't mean that I'm a huge fan. It just means I'm semi-interested. But if I have 10,000 community members, I'm a fan. I'm very interested. Now, instead of 150 people seeing about my new merch, 10,000 people have seen about my new merch. But not just 10,000 anybody's, 10,000 people who are super fans. So when I have 10,000 followers, I may sell 10, 15 pieces of merch. When I have 10,000 community members, I'm probably going to sell 1,000 pieces of merch. And that is the difference. We don't have to have 2 million followers. We need community members. We can have 10,000 community members and make 6 figures. And we get up to 20,000, 30,000 community members. Now we're making 7 figures a year. So what I want you to do is I want you to stay tuned because I want to teach you how to build a community. And then I'm going to teach you how to monetize that community. We're going to be doing a Q&A every Thursday live. So make sure you digest what I just taught you. You write it down. You take notes. And then on Thursday, let's get on the line and let's talk about what you just learned. And I look forward to teaching you next week how to build a community, and the week after that, how to monetize that community. Thank you for joining in on Shared Information. Please spread this knowledge. Don't let this just be something that only you are learning. If you can build more knowledgeable people around you, the further you can go. So I look forward to seeing you Thursday. Let's talk about everything you just learned.